speaking. Eric, thank you very much. Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you, Johnny. And you?
We're alive and well. Why are you collapsing the business of Core FX? Is that what you're doing?
No. It's not the duty. It's not the duty of FDA to collapse business. We rather help industry to grow. But then, mind you, business medicines are in every country in this world. Medicines are supposed to be regulated, and that's exactly what the FDA is doing.
Why did you have to write that long press release on the 17th of April? Run us through a background. What happened before that?
Before then, the FDA received a complaint with respect to the product, that's the Core FS. And the sample was tested at the laboratory, and it was found to not to comply with the microbial specifications for herbal medicines as per the standards in Ghana.
Right.
So after that, then we did a follow-up. Of course, you don't have to just rely on an event. We did a follow-up at Warsaw near Cape Coast on the 26th of March to ascertain what could have led to that. Yes, we did our inspection. We saw what we wanted to see. Then we picked up sample from their manufacturing line. That's from the starting point where they ferment the leaves, where they do their crude distillate, their final distillate, and then bottling. So we picked samples along the line, then brought it back to the laboratory and we tested. Lo and behold, we got the same results. Then again, in another different container closure system, that's a package.
Okay.
You know, the Core FS was registered in a high-density polyethylene bottle. That's a plastic cup with the blue head.
Okay.
In science, it's called HDPE. But then they have changed it and put it into PET. That's the polyethylene bottle, the one that we normally see bottled water in.
Okay.
So that was also another complaint that came from Kumasi. We tested it and they all failed. One, the total yeast and the microbial counts were high. It exceeded the permissible limit. And pathogens are supposed to be totally absent in liquid products. Okay. And in every pharmacopoeia that you have, all oral liquid preparation, be it herbal, be it syrups, pathogens are supposed to be absent. And the pharmacopoeia knows why they are saying pathogens should be absent.
Okay, let's hold on. Let me connect with Professor Oklu now at this point and find out what also he has to say. Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for your time.
Good morning.
Professor Oklu, I can't seem to see you. Make yourself available so I can see you. Hello, Prof?
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you now. Okay.
Okay.
So, in what capacity are you speaking for Core FS?
I'm speaking as an independent researcher who assists Core. I serve on the research board. And also, because of my experience in herbal medicine, as a former director of the Center for Plant Medicine Research, MAPO.
Okay. Because Core FS put out a press release with your name and requested that we speak with you and one other, which is why we need to understand your capacity.
Okay.
Great. Now, FDA insists that all the things you've written in your presser, for example, to say that there was no contamination in the products with the serial numbers and others that they have identified and tested per an unannounced inspection at your factory is not correct, and that they insist they did the right thing and that your products are contaminated. What do you say?
Yes, I think that there are questions we need to be asking ourselves. One of the questions that we need to ask ourselves is the fact that how many samples have been tested for how, during which period were these samples tested? Is it over a week that the samples have been taken, over a month that the samples have been taken? How many samples are there? How many of them failed? Are we talking of 100% failure? Over how long has this thing been going on? And then secondly, what proportion of the people who have consumed the product have reported to FDA? We need those answers also.
Okay, so Prof, if you would answer my question first of all, then we can get into your questions that you're setting. So I'm asking you that the FDA says that they did an unannounced inspection of your factory and took samples which you signed for. And those samples which they tested in their lab, and we have Erica Karibatin on the other side, tested that it was contaminated, which is why they had to pull the plug. Is that correct?
that samples were taken.
Yes, samples were taken. Was
Yeah,
there an unannounced inspection of your factory? One.
It's not my factory, as I told you. I don't own COA. So I was informed that FDA visited the factory.
Okay.
Yes.
Did they take samples, which you signed for? I mean, COIFS signed for.
Yes, I think so. I was informed that they came for samples. Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that they tested it and also found that it was contaminated?
Yeah, I think they were informed. COA was informed that the samples that was taken were tested.
Okay.
And they yes.
And the results were shared with you. What did the FDA tell you?
I think the result was shared with COA.
Okay.
That they found some microbial load.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, you were talking about percentage of. Eric, hold on. We'll come to you. You were telling me, Prof, about the load of microbes that should be in there, which may be acceptable, because you're asking for the quantum and over what period the test was done. Now let's hear your answers to those questions that you said.
You say no, I'm not saying that there should be a microbe in there. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that FDA should provide further information as to how many samples have been tested over what period.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me get that from Eric. Eric, bring you back on spotlight now. How many samples did you test and what did you find? Some people on the street say you shouldn't have done a total recall because that's tantamount to collapsing an indigenous Ghanaian business. One, how many tests did you do, samples? And two, why the total recall?
Johnny, thank you for your question. 4 different samples were tested, including those that were sampled from their factory. That's from the starting point, their midpoint, that's where they have their crude distillate, their final distillate, and then their bottling, where they bottle the final product.
Okay.
But then, no, Johnny, let me explain. You know, in manufacturing, there's something called good manufacturing practices.
Okay.
And whatever you manufacture, every time, the definition of good manufacturing practice is the ability of the manufacturer to manufacture the product consistently in accordance with the specification that has been approved by the regulatory authority.
Okay.
That is the standards based on which the product was approved. Anytime that you manufacture, it has to be consistent. You get it?
I get it.
Anytime anybody deviates from that, then it becomes a quality and a safety issue. But then, okay, then let me just go to. He said, how many samples? I've told you the number of samples that we tested. But then I said, in manufacturing, a sample should be representative of a batch. It should be representative. And this is also a liquid preparation. So mind you, it is what? Homogeneous. It's not a solid preparation like tablets and capsules where you can talk that the variation is high. It's liquid, it's homogeneous.
So what are you saying in English for those who are not science biased? In English,
so in English, I'm saying even if you test a batch size may be about 10, maybe 1,000 bottles. If you test 2 bottles and you find pathogens in that product should not be. That product should not be on the market. The standard, there is a wisdom in the reason why the standard is saying that pathogens like E. coli should be totally absent from oral liquid preparation.
Why should E. coli be absent? Is it dangerous for us?
It is a dangerous pathogen. That's why the pharmacopoeia, in its wisdom, said it should be at 1. There are 4 types of E. coli. 4. 2 are very virulent, 2 non-virulent. Their normal habitat is in the gastrointestinal tract, stomach. But from the stomach, mind you, they can enter into the blood. That's what we call systemic circulation. And when they leave the stomach and get outside their normal habitat, they can be very pathogenic. Even though E. coli is supposed to be a habitat of the intestines or the stomach, 90% of urinary tract infections are caused by E. coli.
Okay.
And that one can also, if not treated well, can lead to severe renal consequences. So that is why the standard, the people who write the standard say E. coli should be absent in oral liquid preparation. Did you
tell COIFS what you found and how you're explaining to us now? Did you tell them?
Yes. As the good professor himself said, we gave them an analytical report telling us, and including a microbial report. And there they were told in the report, they saw that we said the product did not comply with microbial specification. Pathogen E. coli was present.
Okay.
And the standard used on the report, you can see is written the British Pharmacopoeia 2020. And why you say why British Pharmacopoeia? Because Act 851, British Pharmacopoeia is one of the standards prescribed in the laws regulating drugs, including herbal and food supplement in Ghana.
So that's the basis for you asking for a total recall, is that it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go back to Prof. Prof, let me bring you back.
They report on the 9th of April. To be specific, they received their report on the 9th of April.
They received this report on the 9th of April.
9th of April, and they came to FDA for a meeting.
Okay.
They came to FDA. That's the Professor Atu Duncan. Yeah. And their quality assurance when they came to FDA for a meeting. Okay.
Let me go to Prof. Prof, quickly respond to some of the issues raised. He said that you are aware, you know the dangers of E. coli. You were told as of 9th of April, which gives me an indication that this back and forth started way before the 9th of April. Your response, sir? Hello, sir?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So as you can see in the core release, I think a particular batch was mentioned to them.
Right.
Yeah. So I think core released some statement calling those batches. And then I think it was afterwards that they were told there should be total recall.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I know.
Did that total recall happen? Because if, in fact, you agree with what the FDA said from a scientific point of view for the care of the people of the Republic of Ghana and everybody who could be consuming it, did that total recall happen?
No, that total recall didn't happen.
Why didn't it happen?
I think the statement recalling the batches, I think it came a day or so after a day or so, then the FDA released their statement asking all the products to be recalled.
Okay.
So in fact, I cannot explain why the discrepancy.
The FDA says following their report to you on the 9th of April, you came back with a section of your board to have a meeting with them, correct?
Yeah, I understand they were there. I wasn't there with them.
What was the purpose of that meeting, if you may help us understand?
Well, I think I don't know whether they were invited by FDA or they went there, but because FDA is the regulator, so if you have challenges with your product, I think it's prudent to, it's just proper to visit them for assistance.
Okay.
And then, so.
Okay. So now the FDA also says that with that meeting on the 14th, you agreed that the total recall was going to happen the next day, which will be the 15th, and it was going to be with the same energy and verve with which the initial push had been done in the media that the products of the COAF FX was being brought down, as it were. But that didn't happen. It happened on the 16th, and the FDA says that's showing bad faith. Do you agree?
As I've mentioned to you, I was not present at that particular meeting, so I didn't know what was the agreement. Okay.
The FDA, again, I'm putting to you what the FDA has put out in a summary of issues. The FDA again says that they gave you permit renewable for 1 year for such edible, I've forgotten how to put that, but traditional medicines and all of that. And now the inscription on your packaging shows 2 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think yes. It's normally 2 years. Yeah, that was put. But I think FDA understands that there's a difference between date or period of certification and date of expiry. I think they understand that. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
No, I'm trying to understand you. If you could come clearly. So FDA gave you certification to produce the medicine for a shelf life of 1 year. You produce that medicine and you put an expiry date of 2 years on it, and you say the FDA should understand. Is that the agreement you had with the FDA?
What I'm saying is that there's a difference between expiry date of a product,
okay,
and then certification.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, and you see, let me mention here that this is not the first time. You go and check all herbal preparations in the country, because this issue of shelf life and then what do you call it? There's a study that is supposed to do.
Okay.
Herbal medicine producers are supposed to do this kind of shelf life study, which they have not done.
Okay.
I think it has been a bone of contention between FDA and the herbal medicine producers.
Okay.
You know, as to how long the certification should be. So FDA say we'll give you only one.
Okay.
You know, so that is where the issue is.
Why is CoreFX creating the impression as if the FDA wants to shut you down? In fact, we understand that you've been shut down now. But why that impression? Because that's the perception out there in the public. And getting the sense from your press releases, it does appear that you see the FDA as a villain, antagonistic, who wants to shoot you down. Why would you think that?
Oh, clearly, as you can see, from my experience as somebody who has been worked very closely with the herbalists, this is not the first time that a herbal product has got a challenge with microbial contamination. Many of them do, and we've been trying hard to help them improve their system. But the way and manner this particular one was handled, and then the information that was put out there, the initial information, the ones you're asking me, in fact, they are additional information. I'm not privy to those ones.
Okay.
But the initial information that was put out there, more or less telling the public or causing a fear and panic among the consumers. I think there was supposed to be some additional information. That's why I was asking that to come out with such a strong statement, you need to assess this product over a period.
Okay.
It's not enough to just take 4 and then come out with this kind of statement.
Okay.
You need to take over a period and say consistently over a week, over 1 month, your product has always failed. You know, your product has always failed.
Okay.
Two, over this period, we have received a report from, let's say, 500 people out of the several thousands that are consuming this product to have had this adverse effect, which is about maybe 20% of the populace taking this product have this effect. Okay. You know, and then secondly, how can we help you improve your system?
Okay. So, Prof, if I got the...
Let me just finish. As of last night, I had a call from one doctor in the US who is saying that this product, they are trying to do some clinical work on it in terms of the COVID-19. But the release from the FDA actually derailed their effort.
Don't you think, Prof, that the registration and license that you got to produce was for one thing, and you going out to say this was an immune booster for COVID-19, for HIV/AIDS, defeats the authority that the FDA clothed you with to produce, which is why the FDA is not happy with you, and they say they made this known to you in a meeting, don't you think?
I've not been present at those meetings, but I've been following this issue.
What have your people been telling you? The people you consult for, what have they been telling you? That the FDA made this clear to them, and yet they still went out to make the public think that the FDA is against them?
No, the issue of COVID-19 and COA, I think COA came out clearly to debunk that they are not saying it's a cure for COVID-19. the product has been registered by FDA as immune booster. I hope we agree on that.
Right.
Yes, and this is a condition. COVID-19 is a condition that if your immune system is low, you are prone to have severe.
Are you not overstretching the powers that have been given to you to produce by that inference?
Oh, you're selling a product that boosts the immune system.
Okay, let me put a final one to you, and I'll go to Eric to get his responses. You are saying that the FDA should have followed certain processes and the way and manner in which they came out to put out the release, sought to suggest some public apathy against you. Now, the FDA insists in a release that they also put out earlier, and some explanation that they gave to the media, that one, they had two options. One, to either pull the plugs, stop your license and the registration, and ask you to come back with the product all over again. And number two, they had the opportunity to also suspend your registration and close you down. But they put a human face to it and asked you to go out there and record the product, show responsibility so that it doesn't become harsh on you. That you have just admitted you failed. So how then do you come back to say the FDA has been unfair to you?
I have indicated to you, I've mentioned to you that there has been some recall by COA. I hope you've seen that release.
You have for example a distribution list. Have you gone to all the people you distributed to say, give us back what we give to you because we agree with the FDA, this is injurious to human health? Have you done that?
For that, I cannot confirm.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Kakari, find his closing thoughts. Mr. Kakari, our time has run out, but give us your closing thoughts. He's saying, Prof is saying that you should have looked at this from a different perspective. What do you say in closing?
Yeah, Johnny, Prof was a member of the previous board of the FDA. And also, when he was in Mampong, he's dealt with the FDA for a very long time. He knows when FDA inspects Mampong, we help upgrade their laboratories there, brought their people here for training. We never shut them down. He knows we correct problems. But then, let me just ask him a question. When we find a pathogen in a product, do we have to wait for people to come and make a complaint before we withdraw? That's the question I want you to throw it in. When you find a pathogen like E. coli in an oral liquid preparation, and herbal, of course, will you have to wait for people to come and complain before you withdraw the product? That is not in any regulation anywhere. Then my second point, he said, why the total record? Johnny, how many birthdays have you?
I won't tell you my age on TV.
Yes, look, they have batch number 004. The manufacturing date is 10th March 2020. Then the same batch number 04, the manufacturing date is 20th February 2020. How can one batch have two manufacturing dates and two expiry dates? The same batch. This is the reason why we said their batches are not discrete and therefore we cannot assure the quality of the product. This warrants a total record. This is the reason why we are doing the total record.
So you are not taking bribe from anybody to close QFS down?
Well, for God's sake, we don't take bribe. We are scientists. We are a regulatory authority that knows the science. FDA is a listed regulatory authority. This laboratory was accredited in 2015 by the American National Accreditation Board, and we've maintained it for 5 solid years. We've never been cited. Prof is aware that the microbiology lab will do the test. It's an accredited laboratory. We get audited every year. We maintain it, and he knows if anybody has any evidence that they've given anybody bribe in this office. I'm not sure anybody can come for it. And he knows FDA is a very well-respected authority. And the last one, let me just add one thing. That was on the stability. Yes, he said right. The shelf life, that means from the date of manufacture to the date of expiry,
right,
it's established through stability studies. That's normally the year one. You test at the day that you manufacture, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then year 2, 18 months, and then 24 months. To see if the product meets the specification within these 24 months, you say, okay, now this product is stable for 24 months, so the shelf life is 2 years.
Okay.
Never met ask him. They don't have any data. Ask he himself confess. That is why the authority in his wisdom says all herbal products shall have a shelf life of 12 months, 1 year. So nobody, you cannot arbitrarily assign a shelf life of 2 years. And that's a very serious infraction.
Okay. Quickly, that's my final one to you. What happens next? Because it does appear with the back and forth, the letters and the press releases, it does appear QIFS is not resting on their oars. What will the regulator, FDA, do to keep the people safe?
Yeah, we told them in a meeting 2 times that, no, look, go ahead, do your recall, bring the report. If it's satisfactory, then when you are ready to start working, if you fix your factory, the regulator will come and look at it. If it meets, we can assure the quality and the safety of the product that the people outside there will not be harmed. We will allow you to work. Yeah, products pass by themselves, and we test products as per specification. So if you are meeting the specifications and you are manufacturing under good conditions, who will stop you? Nobody stop you. If they do the right thing and the products meet the quality, they can be allowed.
But now they have done the wrong thing, as you say. Now they have done the wrong thing, as you say. Is there punishment for them?
Johnny, I'm not in a position to say that, but then the only thing I can assure you that if they really want to work, the FDA is really in a good position to support them to meet the standards, and then they do their business.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Augustine Oklu, for your time this morning, and also Eric Kakare-Boateng of the FDA. He's the head of lab. And so we settled the dust this morning, perhaps, for you. Your questions will continue, but I'm sure if you watch this again, the clarity is there for you. See you after the break.